What's up, y'all? How you doing? You're watching Union Minded. I'm your host, Eric, and today we're going to talk about May Day. Why? Because it's May Day. Do you even know what May Day is? Have you ever heard of the holiday? Do you know how it came about? I've done videos about this in the past, but I always like to refresh my own knowledge and memory of why May Day is such an important holiday to observe. And so for today, I got for you a little history lesson on what exactly is May Day and how it came to be. This is according to the Encyclopedia Britannica. I'll put the link in the description box so that you can click on the link in the description box and read it for yourself. And then there's a story about May Day workers rallying in France over the pension anger. You know, they upped the age for retirement like they did in America. And the difference between France and America is in France, the workers don't play. And in America, the workers suck up to the corporate bosses. Just a different breed, man. Just a different breed over there. So let's talk about May Day. So here we go. May Day, international observance, also known as International Workers' Day or Workers' Day. This was written and fact-checked by the editors of the Encyclopedia Britannica. Its last updated was May 1st, May Day 2023. All right, and here we go. May Day, also called Workers' Day or International Workers' Day, commemorating the historic struggles and gains made by workers and the labor movement. Observed in many countries on May 1st. In the United States and Canada, a similar observance known as Labor Day occurs on the first Monday of September. There's a significant reason why Labor Day in America is in September as opposed to May 1st. And it'll talk more about that as we get through here. But there is a very significant reason why the president decided to make a holiday in September as opposed to honoring the rightful Labor Day, which is May 1st. In 1889, an International Federation of Socialist Groups and Trade Unions designated May 1st as a day in support of workers in commemoration of the Haymarket Riot in Chicago, 1886. 5 years later, just 5 years later, U.S. President Grover Cleveland, uneasy with the socialist origins of Workers' Day, signed legislation to make Labor Day, already held in some states on the first Monday of September, the official U.S. holiday in honor of workers, and Canada followed suit not long after. In Europe, May 1st was historically associated with rural pagan festivals, but the original meaning of the day was gradually replaced by the modern association with the labor movement. In the Soviet Union, leaders embraced the new holiday, believing it would encourage workers in Europe and the United States to unite against capitalism. The day became a significant holiday in the Soviet Union and in the Eastern Bloc countries, with high-profile parades, including one in Moscow's Red Square, presided over by top government and Communist Party functionaries, celebrating the worker and showcasing Soviet military might. In Germany, Labor Day became an official holiday in 1933 after the rise of the Nazi Party. Ironically, Germany abolished free unions the day after establishing the holiday, virtually destroying the German labor movement. With the breakup of the Soviet Union and the fall of communist governments in Eastern Europe in the late 20th century, large-scale May Day celebrations in that region declined in importance. In dozens of countries around the world, however, May Day has been recognized as a public holiday, and it continues to be celebrated with picnics and parties while serving as the occasion for demonstrations and rallies in support of workers. May Day, very important day where we honor working people who gave the most for the rest of us to have a decent life. That's what May Day is all about. Honoring the Haymarket affair, where corrupt government officials threw bombs into a crowd to frame a bunch of union leaders and hang them at the gallows, because capitalists basically hired the government to do so. It's basically, in a nutshell, what went on. And it's evident by the U.S.'s own not honoring May Day, but rather creating Labor Day in September. Anyway, let's keep it pushing. Next thing I wanted to share with you was an article talking about May Day. World's workers rally and France sees pension anger. This was from May 1st at 4 o'clock by Alex Turnbull, Angela Charlton, and Hyungjin Kim from the Associated Press. Paris AP. Ready? Here we go. People squeezed by inflation and demanding economic justice took to the streets across Asia, Europe, and the Americas on Monday to mark May Day in an outpouring of worker discontent not seen since before worldwide COVID-19 lockdowns. French police charged at radical protesters and troublemakers, smashing bank and shop windows and setting fires as unions pushed the president to scrap a higher retirement age. We ain't got that kind of fight in us, not the workers anyway. You imagine? They rioted when they raised the retirement age. We quietly were like, you can't do that. Yes, we can. Okay. Anyway, what are you gonna do? South Koreans pleaded for higher wages, as did others around Latin America. Spanish lawyers demanded the right to take days off. Migrant domestic workers in Lebanon marched in a country plunged into economic crisis. While May Day is marked worldwide as a celebration of labor rights, this year's rallies tapped into broader frustrations. Climate activists spray-painted a museum in Paris, and protesters in Germany demonstrated against violence targeting women and the LGBTQ+ people. Celebrations were forced indoors in Pakistan, tinged with political tensions, as in Turkey, as both countries face high-stakes elections. Russia's war in Ukraine overshadowed scaled-back events in Moscow, where communist-led May Day celebrations were once massive affairs. Across the globe, this year's May Day events unleashed pent-up frustration after 3 years of COVID-19 restrictions. Across France, some 800,000 people marched. Interior Minister Gerald Darmanin said they mobilized against President Emmanuel Macron's recent move to raise the retirement age from 62 to 64. Organizers see pension reform as a threat to hard-fought worker rights, while Macron argues it's economically necessary as the population ages. While marchers were largely peaceful, violence by radicals, an ever-present reality at French marches, marred the message, notably in Paris. A Paris police officer was seriously injured by a Molotov cocktail. Among 108 officers injured around France, Darmanin said. It wasn't known how many protesters were potentially injured. Clashes also marked protests in Lyon and Nantes. Violence is increasingly strong in a society that is radicalizing, the Interior Minister said on BFM TV news station. Blaming the ultra-left, he said some 2,000 radicals were at the Paris march. Tear gas hung over the endpoint of the Paris march, Place de la Nation, where a huge black cloud lofted high above the trees after radicals set 2 fuel cans afire outside a building renovation site, police said. French union members were joined by groups fighting for economic justice or just expressing anger at what is seen as Macron's out-of-touch pro-business leadership. Labor activists from abroad were present, among them Hirwong Chong of the South Korean Metal Workers Union. Today we see rising inequality throughout the world, terrible inflation, she said, adding that Macron's government was trying to tear down a pillar of the social system, which is the pension system. In northern Macedonia's capital, Skopje, thousands of trade union members protested a recent government decision granting ministers a 78% raise. The minimum monthly wage in one of Europe's poorest countries is 320 euros, just $350. Meanwhile, the hike will put ministers' wages at around $2,530. We are here not only to mark Labor Day, but also to warn that if there is no social justice, there will be no social peace either, said union leader Joachim Nedelkovsky. As you can see, lots of stuff going on around the world. In Turkey, police prevented demonstrators from reaching Istanbul's main square, Taksim, and detained around a dozen of them. Independent television station Sazku reported. This article is very long, so I'm going to stop it there and just say that we have a lot of catching up to do here in the U.S. if we're ever going to get the gains that we seek, because we're too tepid, we're too pacified, we're too stuffed and fat. Did you know that right now 70% of millennials live paycheck to paycheck? 70%. That's a very high number, 70%. Income inequality is at its worst levels in history here in this country. Did you know that 500,000 people go bankrupt from medical debt every year? We have over 500,000 homeless people. And the Republicans just voted by a margin of 217 to 214 to cut benefits for veterans. The folks that they rage about and that they kept calling Kaepernick out of the NFL over because they said he disrespected them. We live in a topsy-turvy world, my friends. We have a Democratic Party that doesn't even want to have primaries because they're afraid of other ideas. We have a Republican Party that just wants fascism. Screw it. We'll win as a minority and we'll rule with an iron fist. And unfortunately, capitalists have bought both parties. And I get that we live in America and the economic system is capitalism. Please don't come at me with your dumb nonsense minutia. The point is, capital owners have purchased our government. And us as the working people are the ones that need to fight back against that. Because you're waiting on politicians to fix it. It's not going to happen. Only problem is, some of us got a little more than others, and so we think we're capital owners. We're not. We're not. Anyway, my name's Eric. You're watching Union Minded. Remember, the fight's not left and right. It's up and down. It's going to take solidarity to win, always. Each one, teach one, get out there and reach one. Don't forget to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, ring the notification bell, all that good stuff. All right? And let's get in the fight, y'all. Solidarity always. Peace.